Hey everyone, welcome back to Crafting the Life I Want. My name is Sean, and today we're going to talk about heat treating knives. Now, I've already gone through and normalized the two knives that I have over here. I went through 3 normalizing cycles, one about a minute soak above critical, which is when it becomes non-magnetic, one about 30 seconds above critical, and the one right after it hits critical temp. And so now we're getting ready to heat treat. I'm just letting those cool down a bit more, and then we're going to go back in the forge with them, and once they get a little bit above non-magnetic, they're going to go into the oil. Now, typically I would like to have a Parks 50, but I just haven't had the funds to purchase Parks 50 yet, so we're using canola oil, which, if you check out Knife Still Nerds, gets above where my final goal is for hardness. One of these is a Hunter Skinner, the other one is a marking knife for the Maker Camp Maker Swap. So we'll go ahead and reposition the camera, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so my Hunter Skinner is down to temp. You can see it here. This is a commission piece for a friend. We went back and forth on a couple of designs before we came up with this one. He specifically wanted the gut hook, and then we're going to do a dyed stabilized curly maple handle that I got from Brian House over at Housework. He gave it to me ages ago, and I've not used it for anything. I think this will be a good option for it. So I'm going to go ahead and go in the forge. One of the things we're looking for is evenness of temp. Now, this is full thickness here at the blade. I haven't brought that bevel down at all, so I don't have to worry quite as much about the heat, about the tip getting overheated. I do have to worry a little bit about the gut hook here because I've already kind of beveled that down ahead of time. I don't know if you can see that here on camera. So I'll be paying attention to that as far as my temperature control is concerned. All right, into the forge. I'm looking for kind of a nice even heat along the entire blade, and hopefully you can see that on camera. Now I'm starting my heat, because I just have a single burner in there, I'm starting my heat back towards the choil on the handle, or on the blade, and heating that up first, and then I'll start moving the blade in and out as that comes up to temp to try to massage that heat down towards the tip without overheating anything. I hope you can see it, but you can just start seeing the thin part of the handle coming up to that kind of bright orange we're looking for. I'll bet if I checked it about now, it would be non-magnetic. So now I'm going to start cycling the rest of the blade in and out of the heat, trying to keep that beveled section of the gut hook as far away from the heat as possible so it's heating up last. You can kind of see that color orange inching its way down the blade. We have a little bit more down towards the tip, just past the gut hook. But I want to get a little hotter. Let's go ahead and check it just to make sure. So we're entirely non-magnetic through the blade. Now I'm just trying to make sure the cutting edge has a nice even color to it, and then we'll go in the quench. I think I'm about ready to quench. I'll try to move past the camera so I'm not blocking the view. Now I'm continually moving the blade up and down while I do this. Those fireballs you see on Forged in Fire are not what you're looking for. You really want the whole blade entirely immersed and moving up and down. As you quench, bubbles form in the oil, and that air jacket around the blade is what causes an incomplete hardening with it. And so when you move it up and down, it continues to remove that air jacket and allows the oil to more evenly quench your blade. Taking a look, it looks nice and straight. now that it's quenched, there's not a risk of going in the oil to finish, or going in the water to finish cooling it off. It just allows me to handle it better. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let me try to get right up next to the camera. Get some of that excess oil off. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. There we go. Oh, no, not quite. Sorry. All right, so I'm looking at this. Sorry, I'm trying to get my eye in line with your eye. Looks nice and straight. Good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a file and just see if make sure our cutting edge is nice and hard. Yeah. Good. That's great. Is this what we're looking for? So we'll go inside and temper this once we're done hardening the other one, and do 2 tempering cycles at, what is it, 400 for 2 hours each, and then we'll be ready to do sharpening on it. Let me go ahead and stop the camera and get that other one set up, and we'll get started on that one. All right, time to go in with the marking knife. Again, because this one is beveled, I am going in past the flame and heating up the handle portion first because it's a full thickness, full tang handle. And once that gets up to temp, I will start moving the blade back in and hopefully evenly getting that blade. And we're gonna, again, check for that we've reached critical temp, which is non-magnetic. Once it starts looking about that bright orange color, you can see it just now starting to turn kind of a reddish orange. And there, that middle section of the handle is just starting to go orange. I usually like to heat treat at night because you have better vision on it. I decided today it was overcast enough that I'd be able to get good temp. So at this point, I'm just going to check back here. Make sure we're not magnetic. And now I'm just trying to get a nice even temp. You can still see that dark section towards the base of the blade. There we go. I think we have a nice even temp. I'm going to come out, slide past the camera, and go straight into the quench tank again. Same thing, consistent movement up and down for at least, I like to do it for around 10 seconds. Some people do it a bit less because you can do some correction sometime where you're between 900 and 600 degrees. You can usually correct any warps. Because of the small portion of the blade and then the thickness of this knife, I don't think warps are going to be an issue. So I'm going longer, make sure we're nice and cool. Alright, so despite what I said, we definitely took a warp on. Go ahead and finish cooling this in water just to get it to a temp where I can handle it. Go ahead and shut this off so you can hear me. right, so unfortunately, and this is sometimes what you deal with when you don't have known steel. So this marking knife was made out of a farrier's rasp, and I annealed it in my forge, and then took all of the really heavy bites off. I don't know if you can see this here, but this was, zoom in a bit, sorry. Oh, come on, focus. No, you don't want to focus. All right, I'll try to focus on this one. So this was a Bellota top finish rasp we got from a farrier once it was all done. I got a bunch of them, and I like using repurposed steel. And so I wanted to leave as much of that emblem there. And this is, these little divots are all going to be covered by the handle. They're just to give it more purchase. But as you can see, and I should be able to grind most of this out, but there's a fairly good warp on this side. I might try, a couple things I'm going to try. The first thing I'm going to try is, because tempering is next, I'm going to try clamping it between two pieces of angle iron and keep it in that position for the first tempering cycle. And if that helps a little, I might see if during that second tempering cycle I can kind of reverse bend it. The risk with that is that you can break it. And so the way I would do that is with 3 bolts in between those pieces of angle iron, and just 1 bolt here in the middle, and then 2 others out here, and so it's pressing it back against that bend. The risk of that is breaking it, but sometimes you can get lucky and get some of that warp out. Now, there's enough here, it's a fairly significant warp, that's unfortunate. There's enough here that I can grind it out if I don't get any increase. I'll likely take most of it off of this back end and just taper that tang more than I was originally planning. All right, well, thanks for watching, and hopefully you will like and subscribe below, and we'll pick you up in the next one.